Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. It is March the 18th, 2024. Let's talk boxing, but first remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, in my favorites folder right now is an excellent copy of one of the heavyweight division's more important fights, right? If you're someone like me who likes to handicap fights, this fight, which is a 1962 fight, in other words, it's years before Ali Joe Frazier. This fight is iconic. Let me point out something else. It might actually apply to the present. I get the feeling that Alexander Usyk might try to employ some of the tactics used in this fight. And the fight we're talking about is Sonny Banks's knockdown of a young Ali. Right, folks? The film I have in my favorites folder actually has audio from the fight, and it's fairly clear. It's something you need to look at. Now let's frame this. In the late 1980s, my dad, who loved Joe Louis and who loved Ali, right, firmly believed that young upstart at the time, Mike Tyson, would have problems against Ali. Now let me just say this. And I know young people don't quite appreciate how little we had as recently as the late 80s. Well, in the late 80s, it's not like we had a lot of fight film. Understand, people had VCRs, and you were lucky if you had tapes of some of the legendary matches in history. Mike Tyson, this is back when he was with Jim Jacobs and Bill Caton. Mike Tyson would actually look at films of the greats, and he would refer to them in interviews. And you would be thinking to yourself, man, I heard of that fight, but I never saw that fight. Understand, it's only with the internet. It's only since the 90s and O's and teens that we actually have the capability to look up fights. So I heard about the Sonny Banks fight. Did not see the fight until many years later. Right? Well, let me just point out that when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, I visited home later, and my dad was ready for me. Right? I was a Tyson guy. And my dad said, you know, Buster Douglas has a nice jab, but it's not an Ali jab. And let's just say Dad ruled the roost at the house that weekend, right? I didn't really have a comment I could say to him after Tyson lost his title to Buster Douglas. Now, let me just make a few points here. Ali gets knocked down, not just by Sonny Banks, but by Henry Cooper in the 1960s. Let me also say, too, the Ali my father knew was a different Ali than the one I knew. I knew the guy from the 1970s. My father knew someone who was far different. He knew the Ali of the 1960s. And understand, the Ali of the 1960s is not rope-a-doping. The Ali of the 1960s has much better legs, much better stamina, right? Much better back foot. In the 70s, guys like Frazier and Foreman could actually pin Ali up on the ropes. In the 60s, against big-time sluggers, right? Cleveland Williams, for example, Ali could move off the ropes, right? Ali, much more of a daredevil in the 60s. In this Sonny Banks fight, Ali's dropping his hands at times, right? And Banks had a punch. Now, let me say this about Sonny Banks. The style he has here is, to me, the huckleberry for the Ali style. Dare I say, it's the huckleberry for the Tyson Fury style. Fury, let's be heretics here, is better inside smothering an opponent than Ali is. Right? Ali is the better athlete from the outside, the faster hands. Right? If you want to see what a mobile jab looks like, just look at Ali here against Sonny Banks. Understand, too, Ali is that rare person, particularly in today's heavyweight division, who is a combination puncher. Right? Not every flurry is a combination, but you notice when Ali thinks he has the upper hand, he can drop 4, 5, 6 shots in a way that most heavyweights simply can't. Right? I would argue that the best heavyweight I've seen in history is the fighter this Ali grows into by 66, 67. Right? The guy who's yelling, "What's my name?" to Ernie Terrell, who dared call him Cassius Clay. The guy who's fighting Cleveland Williams, major slugger, and is standing there with his hands down, and when Williams comes in, is throwing combinations. Is just simply too fast for Big Cat, Williams' nickname. I consider the best heavyweight in history. We can disagree on that. There were others. But understand, the kind of fighter who would give him problems, and I know old-timers know what I'm talking about here because we saw the Dream Fight film of Ali against Rocky Marciano. But it's a Marciano type. It's a Sonny Banks type. Understand, Sonny Banks, before his death, after getting knocked out by Leotis Martin, right? Remember that name. That's the guy who gave Sonny Liston his last loss. Right? Just understand, it's guys like Sonny Banks, 7 losses. In other words, Banks is not an elite fighter when he fights Ali. He's the opponent. But Sonny Banks fought low, and like Joe Frazier, he has an excellent left hook. And understand, Ali, relatively speaking, like Tyson Fury, did better against guys his height. Right? He's too upright for this fight style, just like, if you want to go back in history, Sugar Ray Robinson, another great fighter, was too upright for Randy Turpin's fight style. Right? That knockout in the rematch covered up a lot. Well, here, understand, it's not a flash knockdown. In fact, that left hook hurts Ali before the knockdown. Right? Ali, as he opens up, a guy fighting in a crouch. Think Frazier. I'd like to think Tyson, prime Tyson. Right? A guy fighting in a crouch who can move his head, who can dodge an Ali shots, who can dodge, dare I say it, a Tyson Fury shots, might be open for a springing left hook. Wasn't that the punch that finished Ali in the first Frazier fight? Right? Understand, here he gets hit with the left hook. He's staggered. Then, of course, being the typical boxer, he covers it up, right? He's staggered, but then he looks tough. Then, of course, Banks is able to land it again over by the corner. This time, Ali hits the canvas. Let's not kid ourselves. Folks, that's not a flash knockdown. Ali is badly hurt. He's lucky he's as young as he is. Right? He's lucky that Sonny Banks, let's be blunt here, is a little bit undersized for the heavyweight division. Right? So let me just make the point that this fight several years before the Joe Frazier fight. Joe Frazier is really following the blueprint. You understand, that this hole in Ali's game is structural. This isn't a bad night. This is a moving guy who's upright, who's relying on spacing off his jab, that a shorter guy who can fight low, fight out of a crouch, can dodge, right? And you notice it's when Ali throws his right hand and it's extended, and he has been outmaneuvered by the shorter guy, that the shorter guy is able to land the leaping hook flush. Right? Love my dad, hardcore boxing fan, learned a hell of a lot from him. But yes, I do believe it's an open question on whether Mike Tyson, and granted, Tyson doesn't have much of a back foot. Tyson is walking in straight lines. I'll agree with Angelo Dundee's critique of Mike Tyson, right? There are YouTube clips of Dundee talking about Tyson. But Mike Tyson hits harder than Sonny Banks. Banks did have a punch. But Banks ironically lost to Cleveland Williams. Then it's after his fight after that, Leotis Martin. And understand, Martin was named by Ring Magazine as one of the 100 hardest punchers in history. You understood when Sonny Banks hit the canvas against Leotis Martin, who Sonny used to spar with. And people need to figure out how Liston is sparring with George Foreman and Leotis Martin, two of the hardest punchers out there. But you knew when Liston goes down, he was not getting up. That's how hard Leotis Martin hit. Right? Sadly, when Martin beat Sonny Banks, Banks loses his life in his mid-20s. We never get the Sonny Banks-Ali rematch. Right? So what I want people to think about, because Usyk is a bit of an enigma, I want you to compare the Usyk who fights Tony Bellew to the Usyk who fights Anthony Joshua. You know, Usyk is on his back foot against Bellew. Bellew, who's a clever fighter, right? Let's remember, Bellew beats David Haye. Bellew could hold his own. But Bellew at one point in that fight against Usyk motions to Usyk to come fight him, to stop moving. Right? Be careful what you ask for. Understand, Usyk is a guy with a devastating front foot. If you want to see Usyk at his absolute best, look at the stoppage in the Bellew fight, recognizing that Usyk, a Ukrainian, has fought most of his big fights on the road. He's in front of a British audience. He's fighting Bellew, who has a punch. He backs Bellew up, pivots, and then is able to end that fight. Bellew is out when he hits the canvas. That's a brutal knockout. Right? Tony doesn't slip. That's, and you understand too, there were several rounds to go in that fight. Had the fight continued, oh my goodness, Bellew would have been roughed up. Now I'm just telling you, Tyson Fury has two zones. I suspect he's going to try to fight like Derek Chisora, his buddy, did against Usyk. Right? Let me say this about Derek Chisora. Folks need to realize that Chisora is excellent at pinning guys. He's excellent. Understand too, Chisora is one of these blitz type guys who could knock down a Joseph Parker. We now know who Parker is a lot better after his wins over Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang. Understand, against Derek Chisora, Parker's on the canvas. That's not a flash knockdown. Look at Parker's face. Right? Derek Chisora is a guy who can go all out early, but it comes at a cost. By the 7th round, Derek Chisora is tired. I believe Tyson Fury is going to try to run across the ring. Fury is not the puncher that Anthony Joshua is. He's not the puncher that Zhilei Zhang is. I believe he's going to come across the round. Usyk's defensively blessed. In other words, Usyk can turtle. Usyk can prevent you from landing shots. People might remember that late round in the rematch with Anthony Joshua. It's the 9th round or so, where Joshua hurts Usyk. He has Usyk hurt. Usyk looks at him then, and then decides, okay, this guy, 9 rounds into our rematch, thinks I'm badly hurt, thinks he's going to stop me. Joshua comes forward, one of the feared punchers in the heavyweight division right now. And Usyk just covers up. Usyk lets Joshua throw himself out. This is as the crowd is standing up. You sense the fact that Joshua's fandom thought, this is the moment we get back to reality. Folks, Usyk was able to withstand the barrage. Then Usyk let you know in the very next round that he was playing possum. That after he got hurt, he was able to cover up. I don't believe Tyson Fury can blitzkrieg Usyk for 12 rounds. I think what we're going to get is Usyk who can fight low, doing what Sonny Banks did here, countering with power shots. Right? What was the punch? Think about it. What was the punch that Francis Ngannou dropped Fury with? Folks, it's a left hook. Just like the left hook Sonny Banks drops Ali with here. Right? Understand, if you're a mover and you're sticking a jab and you're tall and you're fighting a guy, a Joe Frazier type, a Sonny Banks type, who's shorter than you, who can bob, right? Look at Sonny Banks. Sonny Banks is low and he's bobbing. He's making sure that he can move his head a little bit, not beyond the outside getting riddled by Ali's shots. If you can bob and get close enough to the guy, isn't this the secret to Mike Tyson, Prime Tyson? If you can bob and stay close to the guy, and if you can time it, then you can catch the other guy while the guy's hands are extended. Right? I believe this is a blueprint fight. I believe if you look at Ali's history, like Tyson Fury, he had a problem with guys who could stay close to him, who could throw some powerful hooks. Whether that's Sonny Banks, whether that's Joe Frazier, who really was his huckleberry, whether that's Ken Norton. Right, folks? There's a whole group of people out there. The Ken Norton Ali trilogy is kind of like the Ray Leonard Marvelous Marvin Hagler fight. You have a whole group of people out there who believe Norton wins the third fight. That Norton, who clearly won the first fight, should have been awarded that series 2-1. Right? Ken Norton was a guy who wore body armor. Right? He was kind of like Floyd Mayweather. Look at the film of him. Kenny has his hands up and stuff like that. It didn't work. It didn't work against some of the major sluggers of the time. George Foreman, Ernie Shavers, Jerry Cooney. Right? They were able to get through that body armor. Right? It wasn't Floyd Mayweather level. But understand, Kenny was the kind of guy who could stay near to you and then throw hooks. Right? He could throw a springing hook. Leon Spinks. Look at him against Ali. Spinks isn't running away from Ali. Spinks is in front of Ali, getting underneath Ali. With Tyson Fury, I'm just telling people Tyson Fury has a problem with smaller, more coordinated fighters. That's exactly who Alexander Usyk is. Let me also point out that Francis Ngannou knocks down Fury off a left hook, right? Just understand, Usyk's a southpaw. His dominant hand is his left hand, right? So if he's able to time it, just understand, if he can dodge Fury's right, he can be away from Fury's jab. This is righty-lefty. If he can dodge Fury's right, he's going to have an opportunity to load up on springing hooks. And, of course, he throws a great straight left hand. Look at the end of that Bellew fight. So, if you haven't seen the Sonny Banks film clip yet, you're in for a treat. This is Ali, years before Joe Frazier, fighting a guy who is in a crouch, is fighting low, and is coming up top with heavy hooks, right? He hurts Ali with the hook before he drops Ali with the hook. In one of Ali's better moments, Ali then takes over the fight, right? But make no mistake, Ali is hurt here. Let me point out, too, it's the Henry Cooper fight where Ali gets dropped. That's really controversial, because that's the fight where Angelo Dundee comes in to rescue his fighter. There's glove hijinks that gives Ali the opportunity to clear his head. Just understand, if Joe Frazier, who was a good friend of Ali, right, understand, they were both Olympic gold medalists, right? Joe Frazier, when Ali was in boxing exile, gave Ali money, helped Ali financially. They were very good friends. Then Ali, of course, betrayed him. Started, bad-mouthing Joe in public. If Joe Frazier saw this fight, Joe Frazier then understood that his style could be effective against Ali, and that he had to go front foot early. Let me point out, too, that Ali himself admitted that it was after he saw Eddie Machin's masterpiece against Sonny Liston in the Bay Area, right? Machin does the impossible. He goes the distance with Sonny Liston, right? Back foot, movement. Machin was an interesting fighter. Ali saw that fight and figured out that he had a chance to beat Sonny Liston. Right? Food for thought. Understand, Floyd Patterson, when he was champion, he visited the White House. And, of course, President John F. Kennedy and he had a conversation where Kennedy said to him, and understand, it's interesting coming from Kennedy, because if you believe the folklore, his dad's a bootlegger. His dad worked with the mob to win the West Virginia primary. You had dead people voting in Illinois and Texas in that 1960 election. Understand, Kennedy is romantically, we'll use the word romantically, involved with Judith Exner, who happens to be Sam Giancana's former girlfriend, right? Understand, it's that Kennedy who says to the heavyweight champ, Floyd Patterson, that he should stay away from Sonny Liston, right? Folklore has it that Kennedy was concerned by Liston's mob ties. That's fictional, right? There's an open question on who had more mob ties, Liston or Kennedy himself. Well, just understand, in that era where, Floyd Patterson avoided Kennedy for years, avoided Sonny Liston for years. Understand, it's a young Ali who sees Eddie Machin go the distance with Liston. That film's on YouTube here. Who realized that with a back foot movement, counterpunching, he could beat Sonny Liston, right? Consider this Sonny Banks knockdown of Ali film to be a blueprint film on how a guy could bob and weave and land left hooks. Right? My dad didn't think that Prime Tyson would give Prime Ali problems. We'll call Prime Ali 60s Ali. I beg to differ. I believe this film is one of the big reasons why. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Don't be surprised if Usyk comes in fighting low against a 6'9" fellow heavyweight champ with the idea that he's going to get Tyson Fury leaning forward and then he's going to clip him with the same type of left hook that Ngannou used to drop him. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.